It's funny because the more I've been learning, the worse I've been getting, it feels like. Just gonna get some food. Today, we're gonna try to go back to basics, just play the game simple. Been overcomplicating the game recently, and it's been costing us money. Hopefully, by doing that, we can get a win today. Hand 1, session 1, we raise king 8 of hearts and go in position with the blinds to double 9-6 rainbow. Checks to us, we have a king high and a range advantage. So I bet third pot, take it down, and let's just move on to the next hand, shall we? Where we face a £10 raise from the cutoff in the big blind with the snowmen. I make the easy call. It comes 2, 10, 4, 2 diamonds. We check it over as standard. He bets, I can't go anywhere. Turn is a friendly 6 of clubs. We check again and he checks it back now. So feel like we are good, but in need of a low river. It's another 10. We decide to check it over, allowing him to bluff, and he does fire a small bet of £25. I do think it over for a bit to be sure. Realize he statistically just needs 30% or more bluffs in his range for this to be a profitable call, which after he checked the turn, I think it's clear I just need to flick it in a chip, which I do, and we get told we are good. Let's go. Moving up 3 pocket pair levels to the jiggities, straddle on 2 callers. I raise it to £36 in the small blind and only the low jack makes the call. Flop is what we ordered when we see 5-8-6 rainbow. We are very happy, and I'll make the costly mistake though of not paying attention to the fact my opponent only has less than a pot bet behind, and I lead out for a weird sizing of £25. He does make the call, and now the turn is a queen, which is not what we want. I jam now, just hoping he feels priced in with any pair lower than a queen, but when he calls faster than my bet, I know we have 2 outs to the river. Unfortunately, the river is another 6. He shows king queen, and trying to avoid hindsight bias here. Had I known he was so short, I'm probably just better off trying to secure the pot on the flop with a jam rather than letting him see a free card or 2 to realise his equity, especially when we are out of position and hold a hand that needs protection from overs. So paying attention to stack depth of my opponent's been the main mistake here, and to be honest, it's really something I've come to appreciate the importance of in the last few sessions, as it's something which has cost me for not giving the attention it deserves.
What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
Next, action folds to us in the cutoff when we have 8-6 of spades. Usually I'd fold, especially as big blind is only £112 deep, and we know this is a hand that performs better deep. However, again, not paying attention to stack depth, I raise it to 7. We go heads up with the big blind to 4, queen 9, a decent flop for our range. I bet third pot when it checks to me, which on a very wet board like this is not large enough. He does just make the call, and the turn is a beautiful king of spades. Great for our range, and more importantly, we improve our equity. So when he checks to me again, I use a polarizing sizing and overbet £30, and 5 seconds later he jams for around £100, and we simply don't have the pods to call, so it ends up being an easy fold. We move on to the cowboys. There is an under the gun limp, which I raised to 12, and the big blind with a £100 stack. Cold calls, queen high rainbow flop. I bet range. He calls, same again on a low turn. We then Hollywood all in the river, but he folds. Finish off session 1 with the ting and tees. Straddler has £25 behind. Low jack min raised to 10. I free bet to 35. Straddler calls and is all in. Low jack folds, and we are pretty happy to find out.
Come win. I kill you. 2 jack.
Oh, 2 tens. Seven deuce. You never know, man. At least they're suited. Come on.
Six.
You want 6?
Yeah.
Kicking off the second session with a £260 starting stack, we take our seat, and not too long after that, look down at pocket jacks on the button, which is not bad at all. Hoping for a call, we make a standard raise to 7, and the big blind does call, and it's a fantastic flop. Jack, Queen, 7, 2 spades. Big blind checks as standard. I bet pot targeting hands worse than a set of queens. However, that was enough pressure for his hand as he marks, and we start the session with a dunk. Up next, Queen 10 of clubs. We raise it to £15 from the low jack with the straddle on, and we go multi-way with the cutoff and straddler to 9, 3, 2, 2 hearts. We don't really have much here, not even much showdown value with our queen high, but what we do have is a board that is low and dry other than the obvious flush draws. So with our 2 overs, I feel like we can start applying some pressure on lower pocket pairs and 1 pair holdings and any other marginal hands. So I bet third pot. Only the straddler sticks around, and the turn is a good one. It's the king of clubs. Thankfully, it doesn't complete the flush, and obviously a great card for our range, and don't think villain would have floated flop with a king X combo, or at least there aren't many of them. So I barrel for £45, and our opponent takes about 10 seconds before sending his hand to the muck. Next, we face 3 limpers peeling ace 10 off in the small blind. I opt to raise this one up to a juicy £20, hoping that's enough to thin the field, but no, it gets called by all 3 limpers. So 4 ways we go to 5, queen 3, 2 diamonds. Easy check multi-way here, and it checks through. King of diamonds on the turn, same again, it checks through, and now we improve as the ace of clubs hits the river. First to act, I think a block bet here should be quite effective, as my range in theory should be more uncapped, being out of position the way it is played out. So I go ahead, bet 25, and now the pre-flop limper on our direct left raises to 75. Despite the price, I think this is quite an easy fold. So I do, and he shows ace jack off. Nice hand, and we label him as a tricky one for limping with that pre-flop. On to the very hand we just lost to with ace jack off. The straddle is on the cutoff, raises to 20. I think on the button a free bet is in order here, especially with the straddle on, but I make the error of just calling. At least we're in position though. We go 3 ways with the straddler to a great flop. 5, jack, 2, rainbow, cut off, c-bets, half pot. Nothing to do but call, I think, and we are heads up to a beautiful ace of hearts, giving us top 2 on a very dry board. This hand is super strong, and it's music to our ears when our opponent now barrels for a healthy £75. I only have £150 more behind, so pretty torn between going all in or call in. I decided to just call to see if he wants to triple barrel, being in position. River is a clean 2 of spades, and when he checks, we have about a third pot bet behind, so I put that all in, and as expected, he does unfortunately fold. What was probably just a bluff, I imagine. We move. Now we are gifted ace 10 in a similar situation as before. We are on the button, and the same player from the last hand raises to 10. I again should free bet here, but just call, and we go unfortunately 4 ways with the blinds this time to a pretty fortunate flop of 7, king, ace, 2 diamonds. Blinds check to the pre-flop aggressor who leads out for 15. I call, and in similar fashion to the last hand, we are both heads up again and go to the turn, which comes a blank 2 of hearts. Does bring in a second flush draw, but it's a great card of course. And so now when he checks, we know from the previous hand this player is capable of bluffing, so I decide to check back to give him some rope. And the river is the 4 of hearts, which does complete the backdoor flush. But nonetheless, when he fires £15 as planned, we snap it off and we are good. Let's go. stacking up nicely here as we pick up pocket sixes. First to act, I raise to 8 quid and we end up getting 4 buyers. So 5 ways we go. Poker gods, one time please. It comes 5, 6, queen, rainbow. Always feels good to flop a set, especially on a fairly dry board like this one. Anyway, now time to think about how we can get the most out of this hand. The blinds have checked to me, although I think checking to then check raise is a good strategy. There are 2 players behind me that are rather passive and like to call, so I decide to build the pot myself with a half pot bet to 20. Both players behind make the call and things are going as planned. Onto the turn, which comes the 8 of spades. For the same reasons as on the flop, I bet half pot again and both players call again. Oh my goodness. River delivers a wonderful board pair in 8 of clubs, and it's just a great card for us that I think will make any queen X holding more inelastic to call, and I see that our opponents don't have much more behind. So I announce all in. Hijack thinks it over for not very long and calls. Button folds, we show, and of course are good. What a hand. Man, we just hope we can keep this going. Just 2 hands later in the small blind, we peel king, queen of diamonds. We face 3 limpers before us and raise it to £16. And it's ideal when only the hijack makes the call when we go to a flop of king, 10, 5, 2 diamonds. What a flop, but we do block a lot of our opponent's call in range, so I check our position. Opponent unfortunately checks it back. Turn brings in a juicy jack of diamonds, completing a lot of draws, including of course our own. So now time to build a pot. I bet £20 and he just makes the call. The river is the queen of clubs. My opponent has £150 behind. We want to try get all of it, so we are all in with almost a 2x pot bet, hoping to look bluffy, and he thinks for just 5 seconds before moving all in himself. It's only a few more quid to call. He shows 9, 5 of hearts. Oh my goodness. Let's go. Is this really our luck today? Can't believe it. Many hands later, after that unbelievable run good, we pick up Jack 10 of clubs in the hijack, sitting with one of the largest stacks to date. We face a straddle and a limper. I bump up to £20 and they both call. 3 ways in position we go to king 5-3 rainbow. Checks to us, and on one of the best boards for our range, I think it's an easy £20 c-bet. Interestingly, both players call, and now we need some help on the turn, which does come with the 10 of spades. Checks to us. Better now would be burning money, I think. So I check back, hoping for further help. And the river delivers no further help with this 6 of diamonds. So when the undergun now leads out for £40 and the low jack calls, it is a very clear fold. Undergun did show aces.
22.
Our biggest win yet, guys. Obviously we ran well, of course we did, but yeah, it feels good to get a big win. Just need 10 more of those in a row and then we're going to be at Vegas. Only 10 more of them. £500 plus profit, so yeah, man. But at the end of the day, these big swings in profit, up and down, it's just noise. But guys, we love the win, of course. We'll take the win. And I'll see you in the next one. I appreciate all the support. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.